Yep. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Getting it back. Did a nice little 2-mile today, making sure, staying in shape, staying grinding. You know, the congestion problem was really out of it throughout the day yesterday from the little bit of congestion issue I was dealing with. Runny nose, ankle was starting to bother me again. We got back out here for some real quick one, got some weights in. And it's a quick 2-mile run to make sure the stamina stays where it needs to be, make sure the body stays where it needs to be. It's all about maintenance, guys. Maintenance. Even when I'm still dealing with this lingering ankle injury, still got it done, still got something done, which is important. And throughout the 2 miles, the ankle really didn't bother me. Really the situation is once it starts warming up, like once I get through, you know, maybe half a mile, close to a mile, I stop feeling it. And then, you know, as time goes on, depending on how long the run is, as time goes on, I may or may not start feeling it. So it's all about recovery and maintenance work and making sure you're not putting too much on it. So throughout the weekend, I'll make sure I give it its proper rest, but also make sure I'm doing something, not just sitting back on my ass and not running and things like that. So that's what it's all about. As far as today's Move Swiftly, though, let's dive in, because it's going to be kind of the part 2 from yesterday in terms of, again, this NFL and the lack of feeder system that we have, and just all of the bullshit. I mean, just the constant bullshit that I'm forced to hear when it comes to the game that gave me an identity, the game that I love so dearly, the game that made Aswand Cruickshank who Aswand Cruickshank is, in terms of how I learned business, how I developed as a man. The direction I'm seeing this game going is not the direction in which I am in favor of. We'll just say it like that. I'm not in favor of this direction where you get, again, I'm one of I don't want to tell myself one of, I'm I will say A, not one of, but I am a really big fan of Coach Primetime Deion Sanders, both as a player, coach, father, the whole thing. I love everything he's doing. I'm making it a point not to talk about him as much as I did last year, because of the fact that, look, you talked all that noise, and you ended up in last place in your conference. So I just don't feel like we need to be talking too much about someone who had the results that he had last year, all right? We're just keeping it honest. We're keeping it all the way factual and just looking at numbers. Look, your team didn't perform last year, straight up, and you shouldn't be talked about this much. But his comments that he made, the clip that went viral, again, I don't listen to $1 million worth of game. I maybe get some clips that go viral, and, you know, because they've gone viral, me being the person I am, I'm forced to speak on it. But recently in the news, Coach Primetime Deion Sanders, again, a coach that went last place. We're talking about a coach that went last place in his conference. Again, we're talking about him because of some issues that don't even have to do with his current football team. Just finding something to talk about when it comes to Primetime Deion Sanders. All right, so let me just review the comments, and I will react to it. All right. He says, in quotes, he wants he was posed the question, where does he see Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter going in next year's NFL draft, all right? And he responded with, I see them going in the top 4. One's number 1, one's going to be 4 not far behind, or something like that. And then he went on to say, oh yeah, well, we're going to pull an Eli Manning, and, you know, certain cities we ain't going to, all that kind of jazz, and this, that, and the third. Again, listen, it irks me. It just irks me, because I get it. Look, you as the father, you want to go and you want your son to be the best. But you're talking about, here, let me just tell you what I would have done, again, as a player. I'm just looking at this from the player's perspective. I'll put myself in Shedeur Sanders' shoes. All right, look, Dad, I love you. I love you, Dad. I have to be the one to go out and play, though. All right, I'm the one that's dodging defensive linemen and reading blitzes, and the one that you're putting a target on my back, Dad. And last year, we underperformed. I feel like, look, right now, there should be nothing said. Right now, based on the way we performed last year, I don't think there's anything we need to be saying right now. That's how I approach it. Let me let this. All right. So yeah, if I'm not only him, if I'm not only Shedeur Sanders, but if I'm also Travis Hunter, I'm saying, look, coach, right now we shouldn't be talking about that. We shouldn't even be thinking about the draft. Right now we need to be humbling ourselves and doing a whole lot better than what we did a year ago. And that should be the only thing said. So appearing on podcasts, and I get you got to sell your book and do this and do that. But right now, in regards to next year's NFL draft, that's not even a thought. Right now, I'm playing for the Colorado Buffaloes, and we're going to try to win as many games as the Colorado Buffalo player. Let the NFL take care of the NFL when that time comes. That's the way. That's the approach that you should have. Excuse me. So obviously, it's a bad little congestion issue, but that's the approach that you are supposed to have when you just finished last place. All right, that's number one. Number two, as far as the corporate and the higher ups, if the NFL had a solid feeder system, that is where all of this conversation, all of this about the draft and all this hype and speculation and where this one's going to go and what city this one wants to play in and all that kind of nonsense, all that stuff is left to be proven on the field. Just like I was telling you yesterday, go create affiliate feeder franchises, go send them to those places where they're playing against pro competition, and then see if you're actually good enough to play at the pro level, see how things are rolling in the professional ranks, and then you make that decision. But right now, you're making the decision based on what someone did in college, and you're trying to project where someone's going to go, if someone's going to be good enough for this, and if this situation is going to be better for that situation. And it's a complete shit show. And the more and more we do it, the more it ruins the game, because now everything is about the money. Everything is about who knows whose son is this one, whose uncle knows this one, and whose money's going here, and everything. Just the evaluation process is completely disrupted. The evaluation process is completely ruined because everything is about the money and the family ties, and this one may go here. Again, we're talking about two players who played for a team that went last place in the damn conference, and because of who their damn daddy is and what their daddy's all about, all right, now we get to, put them in the media, and now everyone's going to be paying attention to where they may or may not go, and everything is going to be just completely exploited when it doesn't need to be exploited. At this stage in their life, they need to be continuing to develop. They need to be continuing to get better. They need to be continuing to just stay focused and say, look, one dealt with it. Both of them had a serious injury last year. And again, you continue to put this target on their back because, again, I get it, you're a proud daddy, but you can't be that proud daddy and then turn around and be their coach where things get disrupted. The whole thing, I just see it crashing and burning. And I've been on the record saying or hoping that Coach Primetime Dion gets a national championship at some point. But the more and more he's talking, the more and more this kind of shit that comes out, it just completely makes me change my thoughts on that. And more as we are seeing the results of the NFL not creating this feeder system that we need so desperately, we're going to continue to see this nonsense. All right, trust me. Listen, I have a ton more coming out on this, because actually recording this on the weekend in which the UFL is going to be kicking off their season, and there's going to be a ton of examples. So just get ready. There's going to be an avalanche of material coming out on why the feeder system at this point is becoming it's always been a need, but now it's just becoming, the need is becoming dire and dire with the more nonsense and the more bullshit that we're seeing that are just, poking holes and ruining the evaluation process of the game, which is the core of the game. The core of the game is that evaluation process, and that process is being punctured with just a bunch of money and a bunch of favoritism, nepotism bullshit that is going on, all right? But like I said, I'll have more on this. Just stay tuned for that. Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. Aswand, Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.